Minnesota House DFL lawmakers are introducing a bill which they say will expand access for Minnesota voters in future elections. Under the Minnesota DFL's proposal, automatic voter registration would be established. There would be the creation of a permanent absentee ballot list, and there would be no longer a witness required for absentee ballots. As we know, absentee voting was a major issue in this last election, and while Minnesota Republican leaders agree that there need to be voter reform, they're not 100% on board with these DFL proposals. DFL Representative Emma Greenman is one of the legislative voices at the Capitol in favor of this bill. Emma, let's start with one of the more maybe highly debated pieces of this legislation, allowing convicted felons to get their voting rights reestablished. That is something that Republicans have fought in the past, and I can imagine will fight on this one.
Yeah, well, I am really just grateful we're talking about these issues. After the election that we have just had, our democracy has been tested in really unimaginable ways. And so what we're doing as part of this is talking about defending and strengthening our democracy. And one of the important pieces that's been actually a bipartisan issue in the past is ensuring those 50,000 Minnesotans who are on probation and parole, who are living in our community, who are working, paying taxes, they're our neighbors and family and friends, have the right to vote and can vote and make their voice heard in this election. They're an important part of the conversation. This piece of the bill has actually had bipartisan support in the past. Again, all of the issues in our proposal are they're not even bipartisan issues. They're nonpartisan issues. They're about Democrats and Republicans, independents, whatever your political persuasion, wherever you live, having your voice at the center of our democracy.
Why drop a required witness when it comes to absentee ballots? Absentee ballots have become so contentious because of this last election. Having a witness, opponents to this bill wouldn't say is something that would ensure that that ballot is fair.
Yeah, so one of the misconceptions about the witness requirement is that that's the way that ballot identity is actually verified. It's actually a provision that you show either your driver's license or your ID number, and that's how we verify ballots. And so I think that the bigger issue here is how do we get to a place where every eligible Minnesotan can vote, that they feel good and their vote is cast and counted. And one of the challenges with the witness requirement and some of these other barriers to voting is that they lead to ballots being rejected because people forget to have a witness sign it or other things. And so just like having a permanent absentee voting list, just like making it more accessible for folks to vote, all of these provisions are really about taking the secure system we have and making them more accessible, fairer, and removing the barriers that can sometimes get in the way of people's ballots being counted or cast.
And the argument with that a lot of times, and we hear it so often when it comes to having to show some kind of identification before you vote, is we need identification for XYZ, so many aspects of our lives, to cash a check, to do so much. So why not have to be able to show or prove who we are when we vote?
So in the way that we vote, we actually do. And just to take on the very direct issue, this bill, and again, I say these are nonpartisan issues that folks are working on all over the country and here in Minnesota. But we have seen in the Senate that they are pushing voter ID again. And I will say Minnesota rejected voter ID on the ballot. Minnesotans had a conversation and they decided it was not the right policy. And frankly, the last election, we have seen the damage of this myth of voter fraud, the lies that are really questioning the results of the election, how dangerous and damaging they can be. We saw that 2 weeks, a couple of days at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And so, frankly, I'm surprised that a policy that is sole justification is a myth of voter fraud is coming up again. But I do think it's very important that people know, that they can cast their ballot and they can go and feel welcome at the polling place, that election judges feel comfortable and safe in doing their jobs, and that everybody feels confident in their ballot. And I think what we've seen in this election is it was the most secure and safe election we've seen in our lifetime. We have seen over and over again the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, Even Trump's attorney general say there has not been any issues. There are not issues of widespread fraud or manipulation or abuse. And so I hope that people listen and trust that. And I hope that leaders understand that what we say matters. And it's on us to ensure that voters feel comfortable and we're not spreading misinformation and fear.
DFL Representative Emma Greenman, who is new to our state capitol. Congratulations on winning the election in your district. We appreciate that, and I appreciate your time, Emma. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this important conversation.
Thanks.